Last we saw Bran was the end of season 4, and we knew that he was heading into a very new phase of his life, one in which he was being trained for something. We didn't quite know what he was being trained for, but when we first see him in the second episode of this season, we jump right in, and now we're really seeing him not only able to walk through the world, but him being able to walk through his own past and the past of his family.
When we started working on the show, we did not want to do flashbacks because oftentimes it seems like a hallmark of kind of lazy storytelling. But that said, you know, the history of this world is so important to understanding the world and to understanding why the characters are motivated as they are and to where they're headed. So one of the things that we really loved about this storyline with Bran is the ability to go into the past, not as a flashback, but we're seeing it from the perspective of a character that we know, and we're seeing how that character reacts to it. So it's not just us seeing Winterfell back when Ned Stark was a young boy, but also watching Bran see his father, younger than he is now, sparring with his own brother. And it's just, for us, became all of a sudden much more interesting and compelling.
It is time to go.
Please, a little longer.
It's an amazing, enticing prospect for Bran, but it's also dangerous, as the Three-Eyed Raven points out. It really needs to be doled out in doses because the temptation for Bran is to never come back.
You finally show me something I care about, and then you drag me away.
It is beautiful beneath the sea. But if you stay too long, you drown.
If you acquire a reputation as a mad dog, you'll be treated as a mad dog. Taken out back and slaughtered for pig feed.
My lords, Lady Walder has given birth. A boy.
Certainly from the time that Ramsay heard that Roost's new wife was pregnant, he knew there was a threat to his ascendancy. And from that moment on, Ramsay knows that his position's in jeopardy because he might be a naturalized Bolton, but whatever child Roose has with Walda is going to be a natural born, you know, from the get-go, a legitimate Bolton. So that starts to make Ramsay nervous. And beyond all that, you know, one thing he certainly learned from his father is that if you have a chance to seize power, you seize it, and there's no time like the present.
You'll always be my firstborn.
Thank you for saying that. It means a great deal to me.
It was certainly not something that was just a spur-of-the-moment decision. In fact, we see that when we see the young Lord Karstark watching it, he's not surprised by what's happened, so he's clearly in on it. Ramsay learned certain things from his father. He certainly learned ruthlessness. The one thing about Roose, though, is that Roose planned everything very carefully, and he understood the importance of alliances. Ramsay's being a bit more incautious because the Bolton hold on the north is precarious, and much of it is due to Roose's efforts. So by assassinating Roose, Ramsay is inheriting a quite difficult job and being Warden of the North in a region where many of the families despise your family and consider them traitors.
I'm not asking the Lord of Light for help. I'm asking the woman who showed me that miracles exist.
I never had this gift.
Have you ever tried?
Davos has no real love lost for Melisandre. He is not a huge fan of hers. When they were both serving Stannis, they were always the angel and the devil on Stannis' opposite shoulders. He's seen what she's capable of. He's seen her do many impossible things. He's not a big fan of her god. He's not a big fan of her program, but there's certainly nothing to lose at this point. And if it doesn't work, then it doesn't work.
For Melisandre, she comes into it with grave doubts. I mean, she was someone who was a true believer, whose faith was shaken, someone who was an absolute devotee of the Lord of Light, and the events of the last many episodes have shaken that faith, but she still believes in him. She just doesn't know if he believes in her. And so she comes to Jon Snow's body with the tiniest hope that maybe if she says the right words, if she says them with enough belief, with enough passion, the Lord will listen to her.
En sindroro onios, en kir persis, en morchot gleison.
Well, first, Melisandre believes she's failed, and that's what Tormund believes. I think he's the first to walk out. That's what Ed believes. And Davos finally gives up. It's kind of like you're applying the paddles to the patient who suffered cardiac arrest, and the paddles don't work. It was the last-ditch thing, but we can't get a pulse back, and he's gone. And then, you know, Ghost, he's known Jon longer than any of these people have. And, you know, all these wolves have a strange and deep connection with their Stark counterpart. So Ghost has a kind of sixth sense when it comes to Jon Snow and when Jon's in danger and when he might be coming back.